We're going to show you guys how to build houses like a pro, how to build rental properties. So even if you've never done this before, sticking around to the end is one of the most important things you could probably do with your time if you want to get into this game, if you want to learn how to be a real estate investor. So make sure you stick around to the end. We're going to walk through some properties that are actively on the market. So this is not like some PowerPoint presentation. We're looking at deals, and we're going to see what the general costs are. I'm going to talk about the 3 ways that you can strategize to build rental properties. And you need to know this information or you will get burned for lots of money. This is how I've seen 99% of new real estate investors lose money on deals, by not knowing this information. So stick around to the end. If you're new to the channel, like, comment, subscribe. Leave a comment that says I subscribe. For everyone who leaves that comment, I'm going to send you instant access to one of my free real estate trainings. It'll show you how to acquire properties for pennies on the dollar all across the country. If you're interested in any of our programs, we have our real estate ride-along tour, where I'm going to be taking you on a tour of the Philadelphia market November 16th. That's a Saturday. We'll spend all day together. We'll probably see about 15 properties in different phases of full gut renovation. So it'll take some of the information we talk about today to the next level. But it's definitely, I would consider, game-changing information, knowing how it's helped me over the years. If you don't know what we're going to talk about today, you really don't know anything in this game at the end of the day. And then we have our Boots on the Ground program. So as we're talking about this, if you're like, hey, Brian, this sounds good, but can you just do it for me? Can you find the properties for me? Can you rehab them for me? Can you connect me with the lenders? Can you help me to get the properties tenanted or Section 8'd and manage them long-term for me? We'll talk about that. Just reach out and DM me. If you're on IG, DM me cash flow. If you're on the YouTube, just drop that I subscribe comment, and me and my team will reach out. So let's get into the mindset, guys. And guys, as you have questions as we go through this, drop your questions in the chat and comment section, especially if it's related to like, well, Brian, what does that cost to execute on some of the pricing things? Because we're just going to kind of free flow through some of that information. But I want you guys to learn how to think your way through these deals. Let's start off with the mindset. The mindset for the day that you need to always be tuned into at all times is the game is designed for you to fail. This game of real estate investing, of breaking free from the 9 to 5, of not being locked into a desk job, is all designed for you to fail. In fact, if you make too much money too fast, the banks will start trying to keep your money. They're going to tax the hell out of you. They're going to come up with different strategies to try to get your money. So even as you accelerate out of the 9 to 5, you still have to go to other levels. You still have to learn how to play the tax game. You still have to learn how to structure your businesses. You have more drama to deal with because the game is designed for you to fail, to keep you trapped in the 9 to 5, to make you complacent. And once they know you're new, once they sense that you're new, a new real estate investor, once the lender thinks you're new, once the realtor thinks you're new, that's when they're going to try to take advantage of you. Once the seller's agent thinks you're new, they're going to try to take advantage of you. That's how this game is. It's shark eat shark. This is why your education is so important. This is why what we're going to talk about today is so important. Being able to analyze deals properly, because if you can't, they're going to throw the wool over your eyes. And by the time you get through the transaction, you're going to have a lemon. You're going to have a deal that you can't really build. You can't make profit on until you start to learn these lessons and navigate better. So it's of the utmost importance that you know how to analyze deals and how to get yourself to the next level. So guys, if you have questions, comments, drop them in the chat section as we flow through this. I'm going to dive us into this first property that I want us to look at. This is an example, and we're talking about, before I get in here, let me set the table. We're going to be talking about the 3 types of rehabs on your rental properties in particular. If you're flipping, it may be a little bit different. You're probably going to want to full gut most of your things or do heavy cosmetic on most things. But as a rental property investor, your job is to know the difference between these strategies. One is, does this property need a light, what I would call a light cosmetic or a truly cosmetic rehab? That's a property that you can run into and you can pour 20K into, 10K into, maybe 40K into, a very light rehab. And I'll talk about it as we go through some of these pictures. And once again, guys, this deal that we're looking at is on the market right now in Philly, it's been sitting on the market for 48 days. No, this is about investing in all houses. Somebody asked, is this about investing in any house or only in low value homes? This is about investing in any property. You need to think this way, especially as a buy and hold investor, whether you're going to hold it, Section 8 it, you're going to do co-living, you're going to do room rentals, you're going to do Airbnb. You need to understand what you're looking at first and foremost, because the agents, the wholesalers, they're going to lie to you. They're going to mark up the pricing. No, the deal's great. Look at all the work that's been done to it. It's not going to cost you anything. It's only going to cost you $20K. If you don't know that you're looking at a full gut job that's going to cost you $100K, you're going to get taken for the ride of your life, realistically. So definitely pay very close attention and stick around to the end. But this deal's actively on the market. So you have your light cosmetic, and that's where you can put in very little money. Then you have your heavy cosmetic deal. Your heavy cosmetic deal, you actually have to put a ton more money into. You're not going to put in 20, 30K. You're going to put in 70 to 80K on like a 1,200 square foot property on average. So you need to understand the difference. We're going to talk about the intricacies of it, but you need to be able to at least identify that. Your full gut job, you're going to be putting in about $100 per square foot on average. I would maybe say minimum. It could get a little bit higher than that, depending on the project, but about $100 a square foot to gut renovate it. And that's without structural issues or some of the other heavy lifting. But what I want to talk about today is how to identify a light cosmetic from a heavy cosmetic. So when am I going from 20K to 80K? Because if you mess up there, and that's where it's the easiest to mess up for a new real estate investor, you're out of the game. You're going to blow your rehab budget by 50K. You're knocked out of the game immediately. And I don't want that to happen to any of you guys. This isn't about joining my course or joining my program. All that stuff's here for you guys. If you need help, you want to tap into my mentorship programs, you want to tap into the Boots on the Ground program where we build houses for you and do all this for you, great. But don't go out there and get burned, even if you're trying to do this on your own. I don't want you guys getting taken advantage of. Let's jump into this property. And this is what I would call a light cosmetic deal. Let's go through some of the photos so that you guys can kind of see what I'm looking at. One, if I open this one up, the first thing I'm looking at with some of these properties is right here. I'm looking for the electric. Are the outlets, 16, somewhere between 16, sometimes 24 inches off the ground? Because that's a sign that this property has been rewired recently. I want to see that. It's of the utmost importance. Because if you go into a property like some of the ones that we're going to see coming up, because it looks like I have like 4 or 5 properties for you guys. If I go into this property, even if the walls are in this condition, and let me blow this back up. Even if the walls are in this condition, I'm looking at the trim, the staircase, everything looks pretty solid. The trim looks pretty solid. I mean, it could be a little bit better. The flooring is like a bamboo floor. Like it's a nice flooring. Even if all of this is solid, if I get into this deal and the electric is not in good shape, the electric is in the baseboards, which you'll see in some of these properties that I'm going to show you, I have to now open up all these walls. I have to fish through these walls, fish electrical wiring through these walls to repair it, to bring it up to code. Because these older properties, they haven't been rewired in 40 years, many of them, some longer. It's a complete fire hazard. So I could take this light cosmetic if I notice with my knowledge that the electric has not been redone. That immediately turns this from a light cosmetic, something I'm going to spend 20, 30K on, to now spending 70, 80K. Because I have to open up all the walls. Once I open up all the walls, I'm going to destroy a lot of the good work. Then I have to redo it, put it back together. I'm creating a mess. It starts to spiral out of control. It becomes a lot of work. A lot of people get burned here. Let's keep going through some of these photos. And guys, if you have questions about any of the stuff, how much it costs, Brian, how much does it cost to redo all the electric versus keep what's there? Just drop in the chat section and the comment section. We'll keep flowing. This is all solid. You always want to look at your trim. Sometimes people will like paint over some of the trim of the property, the trim going around the doors, the trim going around the floors, the trim going around the windows. They'll just paint over it. So it's just caked in paint. And a lot of that has lead in it because it was done in the 1970s. So there's still lead in that paint. So if you're in a city like Baltimore, you have to abate that lead. You have to rip that out. So that's another thing I'm looking for. How old is this trim? Is this trim newer? Am I going to have to rip it out and abate the lead out of the property? That could turn this into a heavy cosmetic versus a light cosmetic. I'm looking at things like, this is nice because it has the HVAC in. You can see the vents in. Sometimes when you have these old radiator properties, they the problem with your radiators, I remember I got a deal way back in Baltimore, and it had radiators, and I had a contractor come in, and he was kind of at the level that I'm at now. I'll get to that question, how much to redo the electric on a property like this. He was at the level I'm at now. And he comes in and he looks at the radiators and he's like, bro, get this shit out of here. Just rip it out. And I wasn't ready. I was like, no, I think we can save it. And we did save it for 3 or 4 years, maybe less, maybe like 2 or 3 years. The problem is the technicians that know how to work on radiators, they're all old. They're all in their 60s. They're not training the new guys on how to do this. So when they break, when they leak, when they're not pressurized correctly, there's nobody really coming to fix them. And then even if they do come to fix them, they have to get parts from the scrapyard. There aren't companies that are like, yeah, we made a brand new radiator system and we're selling it. They don't do that. You have to switch over to baseboard heat, or you have to go to HVAC, or you have to go to a mini split system. And those are all different decisions of what you're going to do. If you want to keep your costs low, baseboard heat. If you want to flip it, probably go to a mini split system or a full HVAC system, but the costs are going to go up on those. Your baseboard heat, you could probably do a row home single family for about $4,000. Baseboard heated out. There's going to be some electric work involved there as well, but you're doing that on properties that need the electric anyway. If you're going to flip it, you want to give somebody something that they could comfortably buy as a flip. So that's what you're going to have to factor in. But if you see those radiators, you know, I'm probably going to have to get these out of here, because even if I leave them, they're not good. This stove, I don't know if you guys can see it. Let me blow this up for the IG. You can see all the rust and stuff under the stove. This backsplash is garbage. I don't know why they put this color scheme in. These countertops are wooden. Electric stove. That's not, actually, no, this is a gas stove, but it's not great. I'm still going to upgrade this. I may be able to save these cabinets. The cabinets look decent, but I'm still going to have to put on new countertops. I'm going to put on quartz or granite countertops. That's $2,000. I'm going to do the new backsplash. That's $500. So I'm getting rid of all of this. I'm going to put in new appliances, stainless steel. That's another $5,000 for the whole house. You guys can watch this again. I'll repost this live. You guys can watch this again to pull some of the numbers out of this. But even on a light cosmetic, I'm looking at things like this. It is light, but this is where my $20,000 is going to go. I got to upgrade the kitchen. Upgrading the kitchen and the bathroom is going to boost the after repair value. That's how I'm going to get paid. I'm going to go in, I'm going to make the kitchen nicer and the bathroom nicer, because the tenants that are coming in, or the person who's going to buy this house, even if I try to flip it, do some type of cosmetic rehab to flip, that's what's going to sell them, is the kitchen and the bathroom, first and foremost. So let's keep flowing. Look, they have a wonky kitchen layout. So the refrigerator and then this random cabinet are like behind the kitchen. So it's got a wonky layout as well. That could turn this into more of a full kitchen remodel. So I have to be conscious of that as well. Do I have to fully remodel this kitchen? Fully remodeling a kitchen will probably cost me about $6,000. Not too much, because it's just not a big space. Everything else looks pretty solid here. I would say the bathroom, I don't really like this vanity. I would get this vanity out of here and put just a better vanity. They have the GFCI in the bathroom. You can tell it's been rewired. This tile work is okay, but I would probably redo it with a nicer kind of marble type of tile work. But the layout is decent. The property is decent. I'm looking at the ceilings to see if there are any signs of roof leaks. That's always important. The front of the property, I would probably paint it and give it a little bit more flash. But that's not going to cost me too much. Skeeta said, what do you consider the most expensive when it comes to repairs? I would say when it comes to repairs, definitely doing things like I'm talking about, like redoing the electric. That's going to cost you a lot because you have to open up walls. It's almost better if you're going to redo the electric, redo the plumbing, redo the HVAC, which is the MEPs, the mechanic lines of the properties. If I'm going to do my MEPs over on that property, I'd rather it be a gut job. I'd rather it just be a complete piece of shit because I'm undoing so much good work to rewire it, HVAC it, plumb it. I rather would have just started with a shell where the walls were wide open and I could just do it without doing any damage. Double work is the most expensive thing when it comes to repairs. Double work. So I'm constantly looking and saying, where am I going to have to do double work? Redoing the kitchen, bathroom, not a big deal. Putting down new flooring, 1,200 square feet, $4 or $5 grand. Not a big deal on the total budget of these deals. But redoing the mechanic lines, that's where you're going to spend the most of your money. And then permits can be extremely expensive. If you can do a deal with limited or no permits, you can run so much faster, save so much money versus a deal that's fully permitted. It costs you a lot of money, just the permits alone. How can you tell if the stove was electric or gas? Just by the setup of the stove. You can see, let me just blow it up. You can see the pilots right here. These are the pilots. If this was an electric stove, they would just be flat because the stove would just get hot. But I'm seeing the pilots right here. And the way that the grill is set up, it's just showing you that gas is coming out of it. There's also no electric strip. Like if you have an electric stove, you would have some type of numeric system and different things kind of behind it. Like this is an old gas stove. This is a cheap ass gas stove. This might have even been like reused, but it just, I can see the pilots. You can tell fire's going to be coming out of that thing. Let me see if there's any other questions and then I'll keep flowing. How much to redo the electric? I would say it depends because with electric, you're talking about multiple levels. One, you could, I'll get back to that view. With the electric, one thing you're looking at is like, do I have to just rewire it internally? Is the service line good? The service line is what's coming from the exterior, directly from the cable line, or the electric line from the street to your house. So your service line, has your service line been redone? Is it in good shape? If the service is fine and you're just and is your panel fine? Does your panel need to be upgraded? Or are you just rewiring to the panel and then upgrading some of the fuses, essentially? If you're just doing the internal rewire, upgrading fuses, things of that nature, maybe like 6,000 to 8,000. If you're redoing the service could cost you 2,500 to 3,000. This is on a single family. On a multi, these numbers can kind of go up. They can go up. That 2,500 could go to 4,000 easily. So it really just depends on the individual property. But I would say if you budget for especially for a row home, single family, 2 stories, you could budget $8 grand. You'll pretty much be fine, and you'll be able to get a good electrician. I've had electricians come in. Oh, I can do it for $4K. They take some money. They run off, or they do a half job. If you just want to get it done, you're better off budgeting, and that's why we're doing this session, is so that you guys know how to budget for some of these deals, so that you don't get taken advantage of. Because a wholesaler is just going to come through and be like, "Oh, put 30K into it; it'll be good," and you're going to find out that that's not true. By the time you find out, they'll have run away with all your money. So that's that for that property. Let's go to the next one. They're asking 150K. This has been on the market for 59 days. So they're asking way too much money. They're basically asking a price, assuming that this is cosmetic, and it's not. And the market is picking up on this. Another question that came through: how do you determine if you need permits or not? It's not if you need permits, because the city's always going to be trying to push you to do permits. It's really more of a question of how cosmetic is the work and how fast can you do it? Can you do it in an area where you don't have to pull permits? So most things they're going to want permits for, but things like new flooring, I put in some new cabinets. Like if you put in, for instance, if you put new cabinets into a property, technically there's some plumbing involved there because you have to undo the plumbing to remove the cabinets. Then you put the new cabinets in and you redo new finish work plumbing. That technically would require a permit because of the plumbing aspect. The cabinets, not necessarily. So now you're in a gray area, and it's a question of, are you going to slow down and pull the permits or not? Most people won't. Retiling a bathroom, you don't need. But putting a new tub in and then retiling around it, you would need permits to put the new tub in because of the plumbing component. The electric, you do need permits for the electric. A lot of people don't pull them unless they're doing like the service line or something that is a little bit more robust. Most people just run in, upgrade, keep it moving, especially on a single. On a multi-family, it can get a little bit hairier. There's more scrutiny. There may be more city inspectors coming in after the rehab has been done to double check the work, to make sure permits are pulled. So it really depends on where you're at, what location you're building in, how much scrutiny is there, what's the process for getting a rental license, is there an inspection involved, what resources do you have? It depends on a lot. Can the inspector prove that this is new work versus how you bought the house? There's just so much into that question. We could almost do a damn session on it. So this is another property. Now I'm coming in here. I'm looking at this one. This, to me, they got these like baseboard heaters up here. The trim, you can see it's been just ripped out of the property. There's like no trim over here. So they're kind of in the middle of some type of a rehab. These kitchen cabinets look decent. The layout's a little tight. The stove is okay. It's kind of an all white look. The flooring looks really bad. Some people try to save this flooring. I don't do that very much. If it's an old house and that's part of the character for a flip deal, I'll try to save the flooring. But I tried to save the flooring on a rental property thinking I was going to save money on materials. And what happened is guys come in, they sand the floors down to smooth them out, and then they recoat them, right? And the floor looks good. But guess what happened while they were sanding the floors down? They destroyed all the walls. So now you have to come through and touch up and redo all the walls, and it just costs you a lot of money. It costs you a lot of time and money. There's two forms of cost in a rehab: materials and labor. Labor can bleed you out more than materials at times. So that was a mistake. It's easier to just go over this with a new LVP. This floor also doesn't match this floor. These are mismatched. So you'd be better off just coming through with one new floor throughout, run it straight through the kitchen. It'll go down in 2 days, and you'll save a lot of money on labor and speed. You will get done faster, and that's going to save you a lot of money. These walls, the texture on these walls, you guys can't necessarily see it, but it's like a popcorn texture on the walls, which is not good. We will have to smooth that out somehow. Some of these windows look a little older. The trim around the windows looks a little older. The kitchen countertop is shit, and it needs a backsplash. They got drop ceilings in here. These are the granny ceilings if you go in a granny house. So I got to do some drywall work. Look, they put a light in here so you guys can see it. They put a light in here that you would see in like a hardware store. And I've seen this before. This was like an old school way of doing things where they put these old fluorescent lights in your house when you should really have like something for a house, right? Something for a single family. So you'll have this type of setup. You got to get rid of that. But this is showing you that they've cut corners. This is, if you see this line going down here, this is actually wall panel that they painted over. So they painted over old wall paneling. So you might be looking at this deal. This is a protruding outlet. So they try to do like a hack job on some of this stuff. So you look at this deal and you say, Brian, it looks like cosmetic to me. It looks like I'm going to put in $30K. Outlets kind of in your baseboard. That's certainly not where the other outlet was on the other property. Outlets in your baseboards, old trim, old windows, old flooring throughout. Look how chewed this flooring is up here. Good luck trying to, let me blow this up. Good luck trying to save this. But a lot of us will just scroll right past this stuff because our eye is not trained. Outlets and baseboard needs a rewiring. This project, believe it or not, even looking like this, look at this door. We're just pulling a lot of stuff. Look at the handle on that door and the keyhole. That's like a skeleton keyhole. The door is old. The door probably needs to go. You just can't necessarily tell as easily in the photos. But these are the things that I see because I've been doing this for so long. I just know. You got this old bathroom layout that definitely needs a refresh. So it needs a new bathroom, probably a new kitchen, some exterior work, but the exterior is actually pretty solid. I mean, there's some minor touch-ups up here. It probably needs some TLC to the roof, but nothing crazy. This is what's going to cost you $70,000 to maybe $80,000, probably closer to $70,000, because by the time you get into it, you're doing new kitchen, new bathroom, new electric throughout, new drywall, touching up the ceilings, new trim, new doors, new windows, roofing. Yeah. Lighting, better closet work than this. You're doing a lot of work. So you have to stay locked in to like what you're looking at on some of these deals. Some of us, we just can't see it. Now, that was an example of more of like Edwin said, definitely would have overlooked those things you're spotting. You will overlook these things as you're new because you don't have the vision yet. I've seen maybe, I mean, I don't even know if this is an understatement, but probably at least 5,000 properties, videos, properties, photos, because I've been looking at houses for a living for a decade or more, realistically. So my vision, when I walk in a property, it's like X-ray vision. It's 10, 20X. Versus if you're a new investor, you can't really see yet. So it's very dangerous as a new investor to try to freelance and run around or listen to a wholesaler who tells you, oh, it's not going to need anything. Oh, you'll be fine. Don't worry about it. I had a contractor look at it. They said 40K. I say horse shit. I say it's going to be 80K. And I know that from experience. It's not guesswork. Let's look at another one. Let me see. There's a couple questions that states you recommend to find good deals. I recommend looking in the top 10 cash flow cities in the country. DM me if you want that list. I have some videos that talk about some of that list. But do you only do rehab in your state? I do rehabs in multiple states, but the ones that I like, to invest in. Is this to flip or to BRRRR? Really both. The process to flip and to BRRRR is pretty similar because even with the BRRRR, you want to get a high appraisal on the back end. So you want to put in nice finishing so that the appraiser walks in and is like, yeah, this looks like a top of market type of property. I could give them, $250 for this thing. I could see that being reasonable. Now, will the house actually sell for $250? Probably not. But if it has the characteristics of houses that sell for $250, it could appraise there. And now you can refinance out, take your money back, put it into another deal, and keep the property. And that's how you'll build your cash flow over the course of time. So I would say that depends. That's it for questions. Guys, if you have any questions, drop them in the chat section, drop them in the comment section. If you're getting value, like, comment, subscribe, leave a comment that says, I subscribe. Share the content with somebody else who you want to get value. And if you're interested in any of our programs, like I said, just DM me cash flow. We have that real estate ride along tour. If you want to spend a day with me touring properties, learning this information at an even higher level, come out on November 16th. It's a Saturday in Philly. Spend a day with me touring properties. And if you just want me to find deals like this for you, I don't care where you're at in the country. We even have people who are outside of the country tapped in. If you want us to find, finance, rehab, tenant, and manage deals like this for you, but profitable ones where we can find them and build them at the right price, just DM me cash flow or drop a comment that says I subscribed. I'll get you guys tapped in. And we're probably building 25 houses to 30 houses because we just had 4 more projects start for clients from all across the country right now. So if you're not in, you're just missing out. It's kind of the bottom line. If it's something that you're looking for. Let's get into a full gut job. What does a full gut job look like? A full gut job is going to look more like this. Let me blow this up. Where the floor is just gone. The walls are kind of gone. Like you go in and you're almost at a shell. Like there's nothing to save here, right? You're even looking at subflooring that has rotted out. let me remove this. You're looking at subflooring that has rotted out from some type of roof leak. And that's where your full gut project is coming from, really the roof, the water penetration that's rotting the house, and then everything must go. You have electrical wiring just kind of free flowing through the house. I mean, it's just beat the shit. This is, you got a bad roof. Like this is on the first floor. I don't need to go to the roof to know the roof's bad, right? I don't need to go to the second floor. We have a bad roof. That's why we have this condition. Black mold. The ceiling has caved in. And this isn't even close to the worst that I've seen. The staircase, we need a new staircase. Pretty much a property like this has to be stripped down to the 4 walls and rebuilt completely back. Re-leveled with plywood. The basement will be in rough shape. Here's your old bathroom. You're not saving the tub. You're not saving anything. This should probably be opened up and reframed to something that has a better bathroom count, or, I mean, a better bedroom count for more cash flow, or just generally a better layout. Old radiators, I'm ripping those out. If I want to go cheap, I'm going to just put in baseboard heat. Like, I'm not keeping anything in this house. Those radiators can be scrapped for like $500. Guys will take those down to the scrapyard. Front of the house looks good. Block looks good, but that's what your full gut job is going to look like. Your full gut job is going to cost you $100 a square foot. If anybody wants a budget as well, DM me, especially if you're on IG. DM me cash flow. Tap in. I'll send you sample budgets of what this stuff looks like as well, so you can see like, oh, now I'm understanding what goes into this type of a job. This house you just showed is considered a major renovation. The one I just showed is a full gut job. To me, believe it or not, this house we just looked at is much easier to project because it's all got to go. It's all garbage. So it's very easy to say, what's the square footage? Okay, it's about 1,100 square feet. It's not quite going to be 110,000, but it's going to be pretty close. It's going to be pretty close. It's going to be 100K, 105K. And I already know that. I can rattle it off the top of my head. It's going to run straight in a straight line. I mean, let's walk through the process. First, I'm going to buy the house, right? Then I'm going to demo it. This is a full gut job, what we're looking at right now. I'll pull up a better photo of the house. So what we're looking at right now, I'm going to buy this house. I'm going to go and I'm going to demo it. I'm going to get rid of everything that's bad in the house. That's going to cost me on a house this size, somewhere between 5 to 10,000. It's probably not going to cost me 10,000, but it could cost you 10,000 if you don't have like the right relationships or whatever. So 5 to 10K to go in, demo it. It's going to cost me about 15,000 to structurally frame and repair this property. Reframe the floor, redo some joists, level the property out, put new plywood down, fix the window lintels, structurally repair, do some masonry work. That's like another, 10 to 15,000. So we're at 25K, we'll call it. Once I'm framed up and I'm ready to go, and I'm mostly doing interior framing here, my roofing is probably going to cost me 4 or 5K for a roof in this condition. It's just beat to shit. So now I'm in at 30K. I'm going to do my rough-ins on my mechanic lines. I'm probably 10K on electric, 8K on plumbing. And if I wanted to HVAC, and I'm going to baseboard heat this one. So I'm 4K on that. So 10K on electric, 8K plumbing throughout, 4K on my baseboard heat. Now I'm kind of good there. My insulation and drywall throughout on a house this size, probably like 1,000 square feet or so, 1,100 square feet. I could probably get it done for like 15,000, 14, 15,000, somewhere in there. Paint, 3,500. Flooring, 4,500. Kitchen, 5K for the cabinets, 2K for the countertops and the backsplash. I'll kind of get that included. Windows, 2,500, new windows throughout. My bathroom, I could probably do for like $4,000. New tubs, toilet, vanity, tile work, all of that. Probably about $4,000 in there. What else do I have on this project? I got some miscellaneous, maybe 3,500. I have exterior TLC, just touching up the exterior of the property, making sure it's buttoned up. That's another 3,500. Maybe $5,000 if I'm going to put in a backyard fence because it's a small backyard. I have some window capping. I have some exterior painting to do. I'm just going to have some miscellaneous line items. So I'm all in. If you run those numbers back, I'm all in around 70 to 80K. I'm all in. Easily. Well, actually, maybe like 100K because of the high demo costs. If I'm lucky, I can get that in at like 90K. If I'm lucky. But only because this house is small. If this house was any bigger, that number could easily be 150 because the drywall insulation is going to balloon. The electric's going to be more expensive. The baseboard heat's going to be more expensive. The plumbing's more expensive. The structural framing's more expensive. The roofing, like everything just goes up on the larger houses. So that's how I'm thinking my way through these projects. I'm looking at this stuff with an expert level eye, and then I'm backwards going through the numbers. But even you have to understand some of the stuff I saw, like, hey, this is wall panel. Hey, this is popcorn texture. I'm going to have to smooth that out. These outlets are here. This is here. This. You could miss things, or you could have not received a picture from the listing agent of a major issue on the property. So you still have to go out and inspect these houses personally, or send somebody else out to do it who knows what they're looking at. Or even if they don't know what they're looking at or doing, that can take a really good video and send it to you so that you can see it if you have the vision. You can develop a vision like I have because I developed it. I wasn't born with this level of vision on these properties. I developed it over the course of time of doing, a bunch of deals. Guys, if you Carlos, don't comment cash flow, DM me cash flow, and we'll connect and try to get you tapped into this game. You said Windows 2,500. Yeah, Windows 2,500, about $250 per window. As you can see, there's 4 windows in the front, four windows in the front, and then there's going to be a couple on the side of the property and usually 4 in the back. So it's usually about 9-10 windows on one of these types of properties, and that's going to run you about $2,500. You want to budget about $250 per window. It could come in cheaper, but a lot of your budgeting is about giving yourself a fair shake, giving yourself a chance to get through this deal without going over budget, and then giving the contractors a chance to get through the deal and shift the budget. That's another important aspect to this. So I might put $3,000 in for roofing, and the roofing could come in at $1,500, or it could come in at $3,000. Knowing that, I'm going to put it in because the contractors, at least the ones I have relationships with and that I utilize, if they can go up and save some money on the roof, they'll put a little bit of extra love into another area of the property where we were short. I want them to have some wiggle room there so that they don't start calling back for more money when they pull a wall or something happens and they're like, oh, we don't have any budget for this. I need to build in a budget. So part of this game is about knowing how to build in a budget so that you can stay on task, so that your contractors are able to execute and are able to shift around budget to make your deal work. This is all holistic. It's not you versus your contractors. It's you and your contractors versus everybody else, versus the market, versus the game, versus the bullshit. That's what it's about. So you have to get good at budgeting. Budgeting is about a range. It's not about trying to be overly precise. If you get too precise, you're going to lose because you're going to perfectly budget it so that if anything goes wrong, you lose. I like to budget it with a little bit of fat in there. And if the contractor makes more money, God bless them. But on a deal where they don't make more money, they're going to hold it down. And that's what I need. I want consistency. I want to go in with 80K and come out with 80K, right? Not going with 80 and then you come out, you're like, damn, I dropped 110. No, I don't want that. So you got to get tight on your budgeting. This is one of the, I think, most important things you can learn from mentorship that most people don't learn because their mentor don't know, because they don't really build houses for a living. And even if they did build houses 10 years ago, I was looking at some statistics, just since 2020, most of housing costs and build costs and material costs are up hundreds of percentage points. The cost to build now is not the cost to build even 4 years ago. So when you're learning from someone, it's very important that they're actively building and they're actively seeing deals. because the numbers change. They change fast, and they change year over year with inflation. Inflation is up. I think it's up 28% in like the last 3 years, which usually inflation in America goes up about somewhere between 20 to 30% over the course of like a decade to 15 years. We just saw a 28% jump in like 3 years. And that definitely had a big impact on the cost of housing and building. That's why these houses are more expensive, because the developers who are building the houses, they're paying more to get them built. Everybody's paying more. And then the cost of the money is more because they increased the rates. So somebody said, thank you, Biden. But yeah, I mean, the costs are up. So it's important that you learn this stuff. This is the only thing that can protect you guys, is the knowledge. With the knowledge of this, no wholesaler can burn you. No realtor can burn you. I won't say no contractor can burn you, but most can't. And you're just going to put yourself in a better position overall. And that's where I want you guys. That's where I want you guys. I want you guys in a position where you're not getting burned by contractors either. Where you know, hey, no, this rewire should be like $8,000, bro. I heard Brian like break it down. You need some type of reference point. You don't want to just get led by some of these people, because the mindset, the game's designed for you to fail. And as soon as they sense that you're new, that's when they're going to try to take advantage. That's when they're going to try to take control. That's when they're going to try to assume the role of the boss. Like they're the boss. They're calling the shots. When you're the developer and you're paying everybody, you're the boss. Don't let anybody convince you or tell you otherwise. You're the boss. Do you have renovation crews able to do work in other locations other than Philly, Baltimore, Delaware, and don't forget Jersey? Yes, but these are not necessarily my main go-to guys. Like, I like guys who are battle tested, guys that I've stood in the trenches with. And those contractors are in the markets that I'm building the most in. It's not that I can't find you contractors in other areas or that they're not good, but there are ways to get contractors. If you're looking for contractors, talk to property management companies, because they all have contractors and handymen and different resources. Talk to architects, because they build designs and plans for builders, for people who build houses. So if you ask an architect, hey, you know any builders? They know a lot of builders because they draw plans for them. So, and then talk to engineers, same thing. They put together engineering reports for builders who are running into issues with city inspectors. So if you want to find contractors, that's a great place, because the architect often goes out to the site to see the work that the contractor did. So they can tell you, look, this guy, that's my guy. He ain't cheap. He does good work though. This guy's a little cheap. I don't really know much about his work. You can network your way and find people, but even when you find a contractor, you need to know the costs. You still need to have a general sense of what things cost and what you are looking at, so that you can get on the same page as a contractor. Because if you're running into a property and thinking, this is cosmetic, it only needs 20K, and it really needs 60, you're going to start talking to contractors. And there's going to be most guys coming in, this thing really needs 60. They might be like, this thing needs 70, 80. What's Brian talking about? But, I have different resources. But you're going to find a guy that says, I can do it for 25, and you're going to go with him. And the guy that can do it for 25 doesn't really know what they're doing or talking about. So then they get into the project, it's still going to end up costing 60 because it's a 60K project. And they're going to run away with your money, because they're going to discover that they need 60 the same time you do. And when they do, they're going to be like, I need another 30K, or I can't do it. You're going to yell at them, curse them out, tell them they should have known. How could they miss this? You're going to point the 100% finger at them. And then they're going to run away. And you're going to be left with that deal. You're now going to have to hire another contractor, and they're going to have to come in and undo work. and then redo work. So now instead of paying the 60, you're paying 80, or instead of paying the 80, you're paying 100. This happens to a lot of us. I'm not excluded from this. This happened to me. This happens to people who have done bigger deals. You know, they got taken for a $250,000 ride. That's the game. So you need to have a sense in yourself of what this stuff will cost. If you don't know, you better fucking find out before you go buy a big house that's a rehab project and get taken for a ride. Because that could be a $50K ride where you could have found out the information for $500 or something. I don't know. You could have gone to a meetup. You could have talked to somebody. You could have tapped into some knowledge. So you have to put yourself in a position to win. Or these guys are going to sense you're new. They're going to take you for a ride. That's how it goes. Until you learn. That's how it goes. So I don't know if anybody else has any questions, but guys, hope you got value out of this. We ran for about 45 minutes, which is longer than I anticipated running. So if you got value, share the content with somebody else who you want to get value. If you're new to the platform, like, comment, subscribe. If you want to get access to the free trainings or tap into any of the programs that we have for you guys, we have the mentorship programs. We have the ride along where you can spend a day with me physically touring properties, which is our cheapest program, which is something you should absolutely do if you want to get into this business, or you just want to get the hell out of the 9-to-5 and you think real estate's maybe a solution for you. You should tap into something like a ride along first and foremost. Not that expensive. Get course content, get a lot of education, hands-on, unique experience. Something I never got to do that I wish I got to do before I started. In fact, if I had done a ride along before I started building properties, I would have saved probably $40,000, $50,000 on my first project. And that's more money that could go into future deals. Of course, if you want us to find, finance, rehab, tenant, and manage properties for you, that's the Boots on the Ground program. Just DM me, Boots on the Ground. Drop a comment that says, Boots on the Ground. Me and my team will reach out, see if this is a good fit for you. We only have one more spot available because somebody just tapped in today. We're usually only working with, realistically, 1 or 2 people a month. We don't have capacity for everybody these days. And I'm pretty exclusive on who I even let in the Boots on the Ground program these days. I won't work with everyone. Everyone who wants in doesn't get in. Because you have to have the right focus, the right temperament as well. You have to trust the process. And not everybody can trust the process. Some people are so damn skeptical. They'll be stuck. They need to become more skeptical of the 9-to-5. Realistically. They'd be more successful. But if you're interested in that, just reach out. Hope that helped, guys. Brian Grimes, your real estate mentor. I'll see you on the next one. We're doing a session on Wednesday at 12 p.m. Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern. Definitely tap into that. Have some more fire for you guys. And for my Inner Circle people, we'll see you on the Inner Circle call. And we'll probably be talking about some more of this stuff on the Inner Circle, because this is really important information that you need to accelerate. So we'll keep doing this drill down until you guys start building rehab budgets like I do. See you guys on the next one.